Tonight, we're entering tiny rooms where the doors were locked, the alarms stayed quiet, and the authority at the entrance wasn't real at all. These are true heists without guns, one with timing, costumes, and confidence, and each one leaves a clue so small, you'll miss it unless you lean in. Welcome back. Tonight it's 5 true stories of brilliant heists without guns, where social engineering beats locks, and a calm voice becomes the master key. The Fake Cops of Boston. 2 strangers arrive in official outfits, and a single polite rule bend opens the door to one of history's strangest museum losses. It's after midnight in Boston, and the museum feels like a sleeping house. Dim lights, quiet halls, and one guard watching a tiny monitor wall. A buzzer sounds at the door. Outside stand 2 men dressed like police, calm and confident, claiming they're responding to a disturbance nearby. Here's the trick. Uniforms shortcut judgment. And when the guard steps forward to help, the line between guest and authority blurs instantly. Within minutes, the officers are inside, and the guard is calmly instructed to step away from the desk, as if it's routine procedure. No shouting, no rush, just quiet control. The kind that makes you obey before you even realize you've surrendered the room. Then comes the part that still stuns investigators. The thieves move like they've rehearsed the building, choosing targets with confidence, yet leaving other treasures untouched. Imagine the silence. Frames lifted, fabric backings exposed, a doorway breathing cold air, and the museum's most famous walls suddenly looking naked. The getaway is almost boring in its simplicity. Walk out with confidence, blend into the night, and let everyone assume the uniforms meant permission. By morning, the museum isn't just missing art, it's missing certainty. Empty frames become questions, and every camera angle becomes a dead end. The lesson isn't better locks, it's better choices at the moment of pressure, because the easiest door to pick is the one in our minds. The overalls and authority trick. In 1911, a man blends in as staff, and the world's most famous painting disappears. Not with force, but with confidence. Paris, 1911. The Louvre is alive with quiet routines, keys turning, carts rolling, footsteps echoing. So familiar that staff becomes almost invisible. The heist begins with a simple disguise, worker clothes, not to hide, but to belong, to become part of the building's background noise. Picture the gallery, a small painting on a wall, a few people drifting past, and one employee who moves with the calm of someone who has every right to be there. No sprint, no scene, just a quiet moment where attention looks away, and the frame becomes a prop, something that can be handled, lifted, and serviced. The real magic is social. People don't want to interrupt work because stopping a worker feels awkward, like you're the one breaking the rules. Then comes the hallway moment, an exit that isn't guarded by walls but by assumptions, and assumptions are easy to carry through a doorway. When the absence is finally noticed, the museum changes flavor. What was art becomes evidence. What was routine becomes timeline, and every normal detail turns suspicious. That's why security isn't only alarms, it's identity, knowing exactly who belongs behind the rope, and making verification feel normal, not offensive. Because the most dangerous sentence in any building is not shouted. He looks like he works here. Keep that thought, because story 3 takes the same idea into a luxury store where a work crew arrives, and the room politely makes space for them. The VIP appointment switch. No masks, no rushing, just a polished guest, a private room, and one tiny moment where politeness beats suspicion. A luxury showroom in the middle of the day, quiet music, warm lights, and staff trained to treat every visitor like a story worth remembering. Then, the perfect thief arrives as a perfect client. Calm posture, precise words, and a name that sounds like it should already be on the list. The first move is invisible, a request for privacy. Could we see the best pieces somewhere quiet? And the room rearranges itself to please them. Now, the trap snaps gently. Attention splits. One staff member follows the client, another prepares items, and the front desk becomes a blind spot for just 10 seconds. The second move is pure psychology. Ask a question that sounds expensive, so the staff looks up to think, while hands quietly move down to act. One item becomes two. A swap that feels like paperwork. Lift, place, smile, continue, because the room is still performing luxury, not danger. The scariest part is how normal it stays. The thief even slows down, because confidence has a sound, and panic is the only alarm they fear. They leave with the softest exit possible. A polite goodbye, one last glance at the staff, then the door closes, and the story rewrites itself behind them. Hours later, the realization lands like cold air. Trays look tidy, paperwork looks fine, but the sparkle is gone, and nobody can name the exact second it happened. And that's the definition of a perfect theft without guns. It doesn't break anything, it borrows trust for just long enough to walk away. Story 4. The tunnel that shouldn't exist. No uniforms, no charm, just a hidden path under the floor, built in silence until the impossible becomes a doorway. The perfect theft doesn't always start at the door. Sometimes it starts underground, where the building's security can't see, hear, or even imagine you. Weeks of work can hide inside normal life. A rented room, quiet nights, and small tools that don't look like a threat. Just persistence. The tunnel itself is a slow conversation with the earth. Dig, reinforce, measure, pause, because one wrong inch can collapse the whole plan. They aren't racing guards, they're racing exhaustion, hands numb, air heavy, and the constant fear that a tiny sound upstairs means it's over. The most cinematic moment is also the quietest, when the ceiling finally thins and a soft tap reveals hollow space, right beneath the target. Up above, everything is normal. Lights, locks, routines, while underneath, a hidden team is about to step into a room they were never meant to reach. This is where perfect theft becomes math. Seconds of access, minutes to move, and a strict rule: leave no mess that tells a story. Then, reverse the route. Down into darkness again, carrying the prize through the one place nobody checks, the space below their own feet. The next morning, the building still looks undefeated, which is exactly the point. When nothing looks attacked, everyone wastes time searching the wrong direction. That's why tunnels terrify security teams. They don't beat locks. They bypass the whole idea of a door and rewrite what protected even means. Story 5. The voice that opened everything. No tunnel, no disguise, just a voice that sounds certain, and a helpful person who turns a quick favor into an unlocked world. Our final heist is the quietest one. It happens with clean words, clean manners, and a phone call that feels too normal to doubt. The caller doesn't sound dangerous. They sound busy, like a supervisor who has already solved the problem and only needs you to confirm one thing. Here's the first move: authority without proof. The caller uses titles, departments, and confident timing, so your brain starts obeying before it starts verifying. The second move is kindness. They praise your help, mirror your tone, and make the request sound small, like you'd be silly to slow it down. Then comes the tiny question. A code, a door detail, a schedule note. Nothing dramatic, just one puzzle piece that only an insider should know. And the trap is that you can answer it, because you're competent, you're trained, and you've answered similar questions 100 times for real co-workers. The perfect thief doesn't steal your valuables first. They steal your pace, speeding you up so you skip the one protective move, calling back through official numbers. Once they have the right detail, the rest is dominoes. One access becomes another, one door becomes two, and the story moves faster than anyone can rewind. Hours later, the crime scene isn't a broken window. It's a clean desk and a quiet log, because the damage happened inside the conversation. So here's the special final lesson. Build beautiful suspicion into your culture. Verify first, apologize later, and make checking feel like care. Because the sharpest heists without guns don't crack safes. They crack routines, until the safest door in the building opens itself.